Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We're coming at you from the Axalta We Paint Winners 400 from the Tricky Triangle at Pocono Raceway. And as always, I'm Sean Big Poppa Williams.
I'm Jamie, the Liehr Jet Liehr.
And I'm Adrian Woodruff with my dial-up connection.
And we'll be bringing you all that action from the Axalta We Paint Winners 400 from Pocono Raceway. But before we get into our picks, Liehr, give us the track breakdown for this weekend, buddy.
All right, boys. Another weekend's here. It's time for another race. This one's always an exciting one. The Axalta We Paint Winners 400 from Long Pond, Pennsylvania at Pocono Raceway. This track is 2.5 miles in length. This is one of the big boy tracks that we have on the circuit. 160 laps to complete this race. This is a triangle-shaped track known as the Tricky Triangle with asphalt surface. Turn 1 is 14 degrees. Turn 2 is 8 degrees. And turn 3 is only 6 degrees. This is a unique track, that's shaped as far as like a triangle. But that is independently owned and not like most of the tracks that we see here on the Sprint Cup circuit, where it's not owned by Speedway Motorsports Inc. or International Speedway Corporation. But turn 2, known as the tunnel turn, has minimal banking, just like all the other turns. But it's also got some bumps in it too. So these guys can easily lose control in that number 2 turn there in the tunnel turn. But this race is hard on the mechanics on these vehicles. As there's a lot of shifting due to lack of banking. So there's a lot of downshifting into the turns. Starts and restarts are really exciting. This is a very, very wide track. So there's a lot of jostling for positions at the beginning of starts and restarts. Strategy this week will be huge for your teams this weekend. As far as the teams themselves, it's going to be strategy of, okay, do we take 2 tires? Do we take all 4 tires? Do we decide not to pit when there's a caution? There's just so much strategy going to be going into this weekend's race with these teams. But this track is so big that you can pit on it and stay on the lead lap during a green flag run. So one of the only tracks that you can really do that. But the shifting is unbelievable. And the crazy part is the front stretch here is 3,740 feet long. And some airport runways aren't even that long, which, kind of puts that into perspective. But it definitely makes this track a hard place for these drivers to win at and do it consistently. So that's why you're not going to see very many of the drivers have a lot of wins here. Most wins is Denny Hamlin with 4. So you're not going to see that many active drivers with a lot of wins here. Not, like pure domination like last week, Jimmy Johnson with 7 wins at Charlotte. But interesting fact about Pocono, is NASCAR usually only allows teams to use 1 transmission and 1 rear differential. But this week at Pocono, there is an exception, and teams are allowed to bring 2 transmissions, and they are allowed to change that training before they go out on the race. So they'll use 1 transmission for qualifying and then also for practices today on Saturday. But some of them will change into that new transmission, just because there's just so much, shifting and pressure on those transmissions. But laps led and fastest laps will not be as big of a premium here compared to last week because we only have 160 laps. But you definitely will need to place more emphasis on your place differential guys for your fantasy teams this week. The race is going to be Sunday, June the 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. So I hope you guys have cable to watch that bad boy. Weather is going to be 70 degrees, thunderstorms. There is a 100% chance of precipitation on Sunday. Wind will be south-southeast at 9 miles an hour, according to weather.com. This race, unfortunately, does have a chance to get rained out, and obviously will possibly take place on Monday. So hopefully that's not the case, but based off of the weather reports, it's definitely a good possibility. But before I get done with this report here, I do want to take a second and give my boy Martin Truex some props based off of last week's win there at the Coca-Cola 600. Him, Barney Vassar, Cole Pearn, and the Furniture Row Racing team that set the NASCAR record for leading 392 of 400 laps, 588 just unbelievable. 588 miles of 600. Unprecedented, just pure utter domination by the number 78 team. And that's basically something that we possibly will never, ever see again. So, but looking forward to it this week, boys, at Pocono. Should be a fun race, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, now before Jamie went on his I love Truex and want to massage and fondle him speech, he brought up a good point about DraftKings this week, and we need to pay attention, guys. Remember, even if there is a rain out, DraftKings lineups will lock at the normal start of race time. You will not be able to edit those teams if it's like any other sport. So just be prepared. The odds are this race is going to go off on Monday, the way the weather forecast looks. So just make sure you have your lineup set and locked in. I would also expect it to be the same way on the other fantasy sites like Yahoo and Fantasy NASCAR Nation. So heads up, make sure you're paying attention to that. And while we're talking about the sites, I think it's a great transition into the Burning Rubber segment.
Burning Rubber, baby!
And since we haven't heard from him yet, Adrian, dazzle us with your dial-up connection, brother.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Glad to be back with you guys again this week. This week, I could have went a different direction more than everyone else all over across the DFS community will go. But this week, I'm going to give you a little extra. My Burning Rubber pick is Chase Elliott, driving the number 24 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, guys. Chase is starting in the 13th position. He's a former ARCA winner at Pocono, over 40 DraftKings points in his last 9 races, which just the consistency is there, guys, with Chase Elliott. He has 12 top 10s in 16 races this season, top 10 in 6 of his last 7 races in 2016, along with top 5s in 4 of his last 7 in 2016. You're getting a driver with legitimate win potential for under 9K. And we all know the way DraftKings pricing is. That's awesome. If you can get a driver you legitimately think can win for under 9K, you really need to start your team off there. And the 24 has big momentum on their side, guys. They've just been crushing it these past few weeks. And Chase has been challenging for wins. And so I think way earlier than this team expected he would. I think they thought he would be running around the top 15 for a lot of this year. But the 24 team is legit, and Chase is running way better with that team than Jeff did all of last season. Jeff may have made the Final Four last year, but the consistency Chase has is just pounds of team ran last year. And, give credit to Alan Gustafson and those guys. They've really got that car running well. And I honestly think Chase Elliott is ready to win. He's a rookie, but this 20-year-old is showing the talent and maturity of a seasoned NASCAR driver. Chase Elliott is my pick to win, guys. I think Chase Elliott is going to bring home the checkered flag in the Axalta We Paint Winners 400 for the first career win of his, soon-to-be long career. I think Chase has a long, he's a safe spot in this sport for a long time to come. And I think I just had a feeling this week. I call me Rain Man like Liehr does, but I think this is Chase Elliott's week. I think Chase Elliott's going to bring home the checkered flag. What do you guys think? Oh, before we end that, I do want to also say we've been doing giveaways for our watchers over the past few weeks. This week I figured I'd make it a little special. This is what we're giving away this week, guys. This is autographed Chase Elliott rookie hero card. I got this at Martinsville when I was there for his first career cup. All you have to do is comment on this video, and you will be entered to win this autographed Chase Elliott hero card, which is actually a pretty rare card to find. That we love to do things like this for you guys because we enjoy you guys watching. So like I said, just comment on the video, and you'll be entered to win the potential race winners hero card. But yeah, thanks again, guys.
Yeah, apparently Adrian's going all Rain Man. So let's hear from the Rain Man himself. How do you like that Elliott pick, brother?
Well, first I want to say Jamie Dukes. I sent his card this week of the AJ Allmendinger signed card that we got. So that's on his way to him. Hopefully he's already received it. So let us know that you got that, Jamie Dukes. But no, as far as Chase Elliott, man, love the pick. Starting from that 13th position. Obviously, he doesn't have any experience when it comes to the Sprint Cup here, but he's been racing here, through the different circuits with Xfinity and then ARCA. But right now, Chase Elliott in the Chase, Sprint Cup standings sits between Martin Truex at 7th and Joey Logano at 9th. I mean, you're talking about a rookie sitting between two guys that have been racing in the Sprint Cup for years and years and years. So I am right there with you as far as I guarantee that that Rick Hendrick is completely shocked at how well Chase has been doing this year. Just think how far we've come in circle from the beginning. Only in 13 races, guys. And I don't know if this is something to play a part into it or not, but we're 13 races in. He's starting from the 13th position this week. I don't know. I'm kind of right there with you. I think he does have a good, legitimate shot of actually winning this week. But, like I said, go back to Daytona when he, started the season from the pole at Daytona. And unfortunately, he wrecked during that race. But, he's just been consistent ever since, with those 12 top tens. It's just been unbelievable year so far for Chase Elliott. But as far as his price, I mean, $8,400, that's not too much to ask for a guy that's been as consistent as he has. And I think a lot of people, will maybe be on the play, but I think some people will rather pay up and go with Larson to get the better place differential. So you might get yourself on a little bit of a lower orange percentage when it comes to having Elliott on your roster this week. But I'm definitely going to be putting some Chase Elliott on my teams if I can find the money to fit him in, because my strategy so far that I've been doing this week, from what I've been doing with putting my teams together, is it seems like you've been getting a lot of the, you can get your high line chalk guys, but you're also going to have to go, dig deep down for some lower, guys. So to kind of play those middle guys, you're going to have to kind of offset your teams, which, that, like I said, may put you on an island. But I definitely love Chase Elliott this week.
I love Elliott too, and maybe the lineup that takes it down this week is going to be one of those mid-range lineups, which is very well possible at Pocono. Like you're just right. Elliott's should have a good line here. I feel like it's blasphemy saying that he's running better than Jeff Gordon was in that 24 car, but it's kind of true.
That's
The
stats from last season. He's running way better.
Oh, no, exactly.
I'm talking about just last season. I'm not talking about just in 2015. The 24 is running way better in 2016.
I know Gordon.
2015. And that's more on Alan Gustafson than it is on Chase Elliott. But Alan Gustafson and that team have really stepped it up this season. Right. I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to compare Chase Elliott.
No. Adrian's fired up. I was just making a joke, bro. Like,
I had to make sure people didn't know I'm not giving any disrespect.
No.
He has been my hero since I was in Dire.
Right. You can't disrespect the Godfather. Like, that's like, no. At 8,400, dude, you can make worse decisions. Like, the problem here is just what Liehr said, and I don't feel the need to go dive into repeating it. But his price tag makes you really have to sacrifice. And the question that I end up having is do I want to sacrifice the elite tier drivers to get him on a lineup? And I find myself saying no, and I'm worried I'm going to get punished on that. But I love the reason why you're all over Elliott, and unfortunately I'm not going to.
I think he is an elite tier driver this week. I think he is one of those elite tier drivers. That's why I pick him on the team.
Fair enough.
I think he has a legitimate top 5 potential, and I think if you can finish top 5, you're right there with the elite drivers.
Absolutely. But I think what Liehr and my picks are going to be for Burning Rubber will show you why we're in just a little bit different spot. Liehr, who's your Burning Rubber pick, buddy?
All right, fellas. So obviously you can tell, sporting my Miller Lite hat, and also I am a Ford guy, so I had to put on the Ford shirt this week because, as everybody knows in NASCAR, it's been a struggle being a Ford fan because it's literally been Chevy and Toyota, Chevy, Toyota. So rolling with the guy that got the pole this year, not this year, but this weekend, first time this year in 2016, but going with Brad Keselowski in the number 2 Miller Lite. He's having a quietly great year so far in 2016. He has 2 wins under his belt, Las Vegas and Talladega, which I want to give myself props here. I did call that one on the Talladega win. But he has 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s this season out of 13 total races so far. But it's no secret that Keselowski in the number 2 Light Penske love the 2.5-mile track here at Pocono. But Brad has a lot of success on these larger tracks during his time in NASCAR. He and his crew chief, Paul Wolf, have him 6th in the Sprint Cup standings so far. And this is, a third through the season of 2016 out of 36 races. So Brad started 12 times at Pocono with 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. And he's starting on the pole, like I said. So he will have a fantastic opportunity to lead a significant amount of laps, setting the pace for the field, getting, fastest laps. And here's the thing is his qualifying time was almost 1 mile an hour faster than Carl Edwards, who is starting in the 5th position. So those guys starting second with Logano, but those guys second, third, fourth, Kenseth, Harvick, those guys are all within, the closer time with Keselowski. But that 1 mile an hour difference over time, if they keep going green flag, it's going to make a difference. But the benefit of Keselowski making him a main staple of your lineups this week, fellas, is the cost here. I mean, he's only $9,100. Just an unreal price to get someone of his caliber who's starting on the pole, has 2 wins already in 2016. Solid history here for him as price. My thoughts are if, Brad can stay up front and finish at least with a top 5 finish. I'm not 100% confident that he's going to win the race just because there's so many different factors and strategies that play into this race. But if he can at least finish with a top 5, he should at least produce 70 to 100 points for your team this week. And he will be one of those guys that you will have to own to take home those GPPs and your heads ups and also your fantasy live contests and your Yahoos. So make sure you go out there and put Keselowski on your team because he's going to be a difference maker this week.
Yeah, I mean, I like where your head's at there. At 9,100, I'm worried that since he's sitting on the pole, that his ownership percentage is going to spike, just like Truex's did last week when he was underpriced and sitting on the pole. Honestly, I think your arguments for why you like Keselowski are right. I think he has to lead laps, and I don't think he can fall back to put up the 70 to 90 points. If he falls back even to top 5, you're not looking at 70 to 90, you're looking at 50 probably to offset the place differential, and I don't think that's enough. What I prefer this week and what I was doing in lineups, don't get me wrong, I own several Keselowski lineups, but what I preferred to do was to find the $900 extra and reach up and buy Logano at the 10K mark, starting at the number 2 spot. I feel like he's going to get it done. And I know you made a big deal about them being 1 mile an hour faster than everybody, but they went out at the very end of that qualifying run to get that done. All the other teams had put up their times already, and they were running some of the fresher set of tires in qualifying, whereas other people had to go back out and re-qualify for session 1 and 2 to make sure they got in. So I think that they were on fresher tires there and just hitting the track at a better point in time when it had cooled off a little bit because of the sprinkles. I don't think that that's necessarily a factor, but if you really want one of these cars, I would pay up for Logano. That's just my opinion. Adrian, where are you at, man?
I'm at Keselowski. He's the man. He's on all my teams this week. You have to start the pole sitter, and we've seen that the past few weeks. Having that first pit box anytime there's a pit stop, that team's going to get him out first. I mean, the Gibbs pit guns have been very fast this year, and the Gibbs crews have been able to get their drivers out a lot faster than everyone else. But we saw last week with Martin Truex, it just seemed like no matter how much tire spin he had out of his box, he always won the race off pit road. And every time Keselowski wins the race off pit road, that just means you have more laps that he can lead. And even if he does fall back to, I think he's gonna lead at least the first 40, 45 laps in this race, if not more. I think he's gonna lead a lot more than that. But if he does fall back and they have a caution, they have a pit stop, Brad could get right back into the lead. I mean, I just don't think people understand how valuable the first pit box is in NASCAR. I mean, the pole sitter is we talked about it. We didn't play the pole sitter that much, but you have to play the pole sitter nowadays. And at 9,100, I just don't see a way you don't play Keselowski. And I see what you're saying about spinning up for Logano. But I mean, those cars do come out of the same shop. And Keselowski, he would have won both races here in 2014. Had a thing or two gone the right way for him. He had the debris on his grill and had to let Dale Jr. by him. But yeah, no, I mean, Keselowski's he's got it dialed in on this track, and this is just one of those Keselowski tracks. You just hold it wide open and let the rough. This is a Keselowski racetrack. I wouldn't be on him if he wasn't starting on the pole, but Keselowski on the pole, lock him in. He's gonna get you the laps you need. There's not many laps to lead, and if you can have a guy that is guaranteed to lead at least some laps out of the 160, I think he's gonna make up his price.
Fair enough.
Yeah, one thing I do want to comment though, Poppa, real quick is you talked about his owner's percentage might be huge. Well, go look at last week at Coca-Cola 600.
Right.
look at Martin Truex Jr. He was almost 50% owned, but the guy, you had to own him to win the tournament. So, I mean, kind of throw the owner's percentage out the window, because if the guy's going to produce points, you got to have him on your roster.
Right.
And the other thing that I wanted to say too, real quick, is you talked about if he doesn't finish, within that top 5 with his points going down to 50 points, it's only 1 point place differential here. So even if he goes from 1st to 5th, I mean, that's only 5-point difference. So, I mean, it's not a huge difference when it comes to his fantasy points, even if he finishes, even within the top 10. If he gets a top 10 finish, it's only going to be minus 10 points. So, I mean, if he leads, I don't know, let's say 50, 60 laps, that's 0.25 for each lap led, and then how many fastest laps he gets, and then also his place. I mean, he's going to be right there with one of the guys that you're going to have on your roster.
Right. You guys are assuming, though, that he's actually faster than Logano. And, like, watching qualifying, Logano messed up both turns 1 and 2 to let him barely beat him at the qualifying. Like, and if you watch, like, Logano was furious afterwards. I just think Logano is faster and actually better at this track. And if he's going to be the one leading laps, not Keselowski, like, you're going to get punished being on Keselowski is all I'm trying to say. I like the Keselowski play, but like, but he's not going to dominate this race like Truex did last week. Is all I'm saying. Like, that's just. I mean,
I think that if Keselowski has the preferred lane choice on the restart, how important clean air is with this aero package. I just think that Keselowski can get that number 2 Miller Lite Ford into the win. I don't think anyone can catch him for a decent while. I think he can get at least a 1.5 second lead on Joey Logano before lap 8, honestly. Right. 8 or 9. I mean, the draft is important here, but if Keselowski can somehow have a good turn 1 and Logano doesn't, like, I think Keselowski will probably, what do you guys think? He'll take the top or the bottom?
I think he'll take the bottom, like, and force.
Yeah, well, my fear is if he's starting on the bottom, Logano might pinch him down into the corner and then get that run on the high side like we saw Casey Kane do when he used to go. That's
right, which their teammates.
Turn 1 is that outside driver can pinch the driver on the lower line so bad.
Right, but they're better. Like, they don't care if they're running 1 and 2 as teammates. Like, that team, like, that ownership doesn't care if they run 1-2. So, like, if he gets pinched going into turn 1. Well, right, but dude, like, like, just like Logano cares that he didn't win the pole, but, like, Penske's not giving 2 craps that they went 1-2. They're actually excited, right? Like, so, like, they don't really care which driver, like, they don't have a vested interest in one driver over the other one. So, like, I just see them both racing. I just don't think. I can
guarantee you Paul Wolf has a vested difference on the inside line.
Well, right, but my point is dude, is Penske, like, is not, like, I don't think they're that much faster than every other car on the track. Like, I did not see that.
No, they're not, but they have clean air. That's what makes them the great equalizer. That's why they're.
Fair enough. Like, I think we're just gonna have to move on because you guys are clearly all over the Keselowski.
Clean air. Yeah.
Like, me even contrary. Like, apparently proposing a contrarian idea this week was just a terrible idea.
You don't go against Bad Brad. We don't get to play Bad Brad that much. So we do. We're all over that.
You gotta be,
man. Hey. All right, boys. Just wow. I'm gonna transition back to my burn and rubber pick now, which is Denny Hamlin at 9,200. Like, Jamie said he was Keselowski was underpriced. Hamlin's actually even more underpriced. And what's crazy is he's the best JGR car on this track statistically. He has 3 top 10s. A top 5 in his last 4 races with an average finish of 11.25, which isn't sexy compared to a lot of drivers' average finishes on other tracks. But actually at Pocono, that comes in 3rd. So in the last 4 races, I think that he's in a fast car, and I love what Hamlin does on this track. Like, you're getting consistency here, and for a track that is incredibly inconsistent. And for a driver that's usually incredibly inconsistent, Denny Hamlin does awesome at this track. And the fact that he's $9,200, it's really easy to squeeze him on lineups, especially, and I know you guys will love it, when you put Keselowski and Logano with him, which is very easy to do in a 3-pack there. But just like I did last week, guys, I want to tell you the rest of the JGR crew is in play. Truex at 10,300. Owned this race last year, so contemplate throwing him on your lineup there. Rowdy's at 10,200, and Pocono is a track that he's yet to tame on the NASCAR circuit. as a JGR driver, throw him in the mix. And can you fade even Kenseth, who's qualified third? I mean, we're all really crazy about the 1 and 2 car, but the third car was right behind them in qualifying. Also throw them in the mix. What are your guys' thoughts, though, on Hamlin? Like, I want to focus back on Hamlin. Like, we've given some other options. But what are your guys' thoughts on Hamlin this week? Adrian?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, if you're trying to relieve the pressure that we threw on the Keselowski play, you didn't have a good decision picking Hamlin. I don't like Denny Hamlin this week, guys. I understand the play, and I understand how good he is at Pocono, and I think Hamlin will finish top 10. I think he'll finish around 7th or 8th. But at this price, I would just much rather have Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott. And honestly, it just saves you money where you don't have to punt as hard on your lowest driver. Because usually you're going to be looking under Landon Cassill if you were to put Denny Hamlin in that situation. And the reason I'm not on Denny Hamlin, I do not think he's a bad play. But the reason I'm not on him is because I think you can get the same production out of Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott, and you'll be saving $500, or even in Chase's case, you're saving $800, which is the back of Denny Hamlin. But I love where your head's at, Poppa. I mean, it gives Hamlin, leads all active drivers with wins at Pocono, in 2006 and 7. But I mean, Hamlin's going to be fast. He's going to be there. But I will not spend the money on him just because I know I can get the same production from other guys. But I mean, those other guys may have problems, and Hamlin may be the play. I can't say to not pick Hamlin because you never know with these things. And Hamlin will be a top 10 driver. But my stance on Hamlin this week is I would just rather spin down and get Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott. What do you think, Jamie?
To be completely 100% honest with you guys, I was torn whether my burden rubber should be Keselowski or Hamlin. I do like the Hamlin play this week. He's at a great price point at that 9,200. Plus, he's the most active winner here that's still racing it with 4 wins. And he's got 13 top 10s out of 20 starts. That's a 65% clip. So he's starting from the 10th position. So, I mean, he's got nowhere to go but up, boys. And, I mean, yeah, some stuff can happen and he could fall back, stuff that's unforeseen. But I do think that you will have to get Hamlin into some of your lineups this week. I'm not going to be, completely 100% on Hamlin because, like, I do want to mix things up and put some variations in there. But I definitely do think you as a player, you should have some Denny Hamlin lineups because, he hasn't really done anything since he won the Daytona 500. And I think it's time for him to get back up in there and get that team, that number 11 FedEx team, back up in the winner's circle because he's just kind of fluffed off since the beginning of the season. And, 9,200 for a guy of his caliber, especially with the type of history that he has here at Pocono, you definitely have to have some exposure on him.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons that I didn't get to say earlier is, like, for some reason, Hamlin is the lowest owned of the JGR cars on a consistent basis. And if you can get that with him being the best of that group, and I love where Adrian's at thinking that Chase Elliott can win, but if I'm evaluating probabilities of a winner of this race, I honestly think Hamlin's got a higher probability of winning this race than Chase Elliott. And for only a few more $100, like, I would just rather have him as a staple. But I'm not saying the pick's wrong. I'm just saying I see why we're going in opposite directions there. And one of them's probably going to be right. One of them's probably going to be wrong. But that's up to you guys to make that decision of which way you want to go. And we won't know until the conclusion of the race, unfortunately.
Which honestly, it's great for the viewers that we're disagreeing so much. The stuff. Like back and forth. Yeah, I feel like this is what the viewers kind of stuff with you guys, even if we disagree.
But no, I think it's funny because we're talking about Hamlin versus Chase Elliott again, just like we did last week when you two boys went head to head on that about the play at Coca-Cola. So here we are facing the same situation, the same scenario. So good luck to you viewers out there making your choices.
And you know what? We might as well confuse our viewers a little bit more and dive right into value plays this week. Adrian, who you got for us value-wise, buddy?
Well, honestly, just knowing what our value picks are, I think this week will be a little more tame for the value based on what it's been for the burning rubber. We've gotten a little fiery, a little bit full of the vinegar to start, but it's calming down a little bit. We're going to roll with Ryan Newman in the number 31. Ryan Newman is only 7,100, guys, which is too cheap for Ryan Newman. I mean, this guy is a chase caliber driver, and there's so many drivers that he's been outperforming that are he's starting in 22nd, which this race is only 160 laps, which places a huge premium on place differential. And if you can get drivers of Ryan Newman's caliber that are starting in the behind 20th position, I really think that that's something you're going to want to look at. He has a top 10 in 7 of his last 10 Pocono starts. He has the 6th best average finish at Pocono all time. He has a top 10 finish in 50% of his 28 Pocono starts. And one stat I really like is he's only finished lower than his 22nd starting position 5 times in those 28 Pocono starts. And these RCR, ECR engines are just going to be screaming down the straightaways. Austin Dillon and Ryan Newman and Paul Menard, the guys they're going to be racing against, like, the Richard Petty cars and guys like that. I just think that, the guys that are around them, I just think that these RCR cars are going to find their way into the top 15. And with how strong those engines are and how strong, technology is behind that team, I just think this is one of those plays, guys. I mean, I just think Ryan Newman is one guy you just lock into your lineup and call it a free space. I mean, there's not really much more I could say about that. I haven't loved Ryan Newman this much all season. I just feel like if there's time to play Ryan Newman, it's right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. Because it's one of those things where Newman's kind of been qualifying, actually surprisingly pretty high as of late. But, he's been hovering around that $7,000 mark, $7,200, $7,300, $7,300, $7,500, $7,300. It's just been hovering around that area. And he's kind of down towards the bottom again, towards 7K. And with him actually qualifying in the 20s, I mean, that completely makes him a viable play this week, especially, when you look at his history. I know you went through it, but this guy's got 28 starts here at Pocono. You're not going to find very many guys with that much history. I mean, he's been racing here since 2002. You're not going to find a guy that has that much history here at Pocono and knows a lot about the track as much as Brian Newman. Try to stick Newman in some of your lineups this week for sure.
Yeah, I actually like the play. I've got him in several of my lineups. I mean, it's just one of the right plays this week. There's not a whole lot to add. You guys covered the stats aspect of it, and it's one of those you can spend down a lot less, but you're taking a lot more risk. So it's just a question of how much you want to have your lineup be risk adverse or risk heavy. So, Liehr, who's your value pick this week, buddy?
All right, fellas. I'm rolling with the number 47, AJ Allmendinger. He's got a pretty sweet, qualifying position. Not sweet for his team, of course, but rolling with 47. He's starting at the number 32 starting position this week. But Allmendinger's kind of been up and down this season. But that's to be expected for, the smaller JTG Doherty racing team. But this week, unfortunately, Allmendinger will be without his crew chief, Ernie Cope, as he's suspended due to too many pre-race inspection failures. But Allmendinger got a poor qualifying position, like I said, in the 32nd. He has 16 career starts here at Pocono with an average finish of 24th. He's got great potential to finish higher than that this weekend, I believe. AJ's a great road racer, and with a lot of shifting that they have to do here at Pocono, it's obviously not a road course, but it's kind of like that because based off of the amount of shifting that these guys have to do with their cars, a lot of the other drivers really aren't used to that. But like I said, his average finish here is 24, so he's got a great opportunity to finish a lot higher than that. And at $6,800, boys, that's not bad for someone who averages 30 fantasy points per week. And like I said, he should get you a higher place differential than that. But I will be honest, I'm kind of going out on a bit of a limb here because it will be a risky play with him being without his crew chief. Because if he can earn 6 to 8 times his salary, that's going to be huge for place differential. But hopefully he'll be able to gain some fastest laps. But with the huge calls here that the crew chiefs have to do. He's going to be working with somebody that he's not used to as his crew chief. So I don't know if that's going to have a huge effect on him, which, potentially could. So like I said, it's going to be a risky value play this week, but you're not going to get any money from your GPPs if you don't get risky with some of your plays. So I'm definitely going to be throwing in some AJ Allmendingers this week with the Bush's Beans vehicle. So
yeah, at the track where it's pivotal for you to have the best strategies on pit road, I just can't be on a driver that's missing the key component in his crew chief. We've seen, especially last year, if you went back and watched the races at Pocono from last season, you saw how important it was for the track strategy and for the race strategy when to come in to take 2 tires, when to come in to take 4. Like, dude, that is a decision you do not want in the hands of someone that's not the go-to crew chief. And I don't. There are just other drivers that I can find better value for, and one of them I will get to in just a second, where I'm only giving up 1 place differential to do it, and I would just much rather be there than where you're at. I understand where your head's at, Liehr. I'm just not on the dinger this week, and part of it is the dinger is sporadic and up and down enough without missing his crew chief. Adrian, your thoughts?
I'm like sitting here on the edge of my seat because I'm listening to you guys talking. I can't butt in. But AJ Allmendinger is going to be fine this week, guys. You say that he's going to have a crew chief he doesn't know. Do you guys realize that his crew chief this week is going to be Randall Burnett, the team engineer who he works with every single week, that he worked with all last season, all of the season before that? Randall Burnett has been with this team for years and has been with AJ Allmendinger for years. And these engineers, guys, every engineer on these teams are smart enough to be a crew chief. And most of the when you see crew chiefs move up, it's because they started as an engineer. I mean, the Xfinity Series with Junior Motorsports, they take their engineers from the Cup teams and they bring them down to the Xfinity program, and they just are all over just running so well. I mean, you don't need to worry about AJ Allmendinger not having his crew chief there, because he's going to have Randall Burnett there who knows what he's doing. The one thing I will say is AJ Allmendinger is a very risky play, because if that car is not right, AJ Allmendinger is a driver just like Kyle Busch. Or if his car is not right, he gives up. He will not fight anymore. And people may be, upset that I say that about Kyle Busch, but that's just because they know it's true. If there's drivers that have the short tempers, and if their car's not handling well, they're not going to give their best effort. And I just don't know that AJ Allmendinger gives his best effort this year with all the factors against him. But I will say it's an awesome opportunity for place differential. Do not need that much out of him at this price, or from his starting position. But I mean, it's just whether you want to go risky and have more potential with Allmendinger, or if you want to, be safe with Ryan Newman. I mean, it's either way. But if you're building multiple lineups, I think you have to build a lineup with both of those guys. I actually do like AJ Allmendinger this week just because of his place differential opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the problem for me before I get into my pick is that I'd rather be on Trevor Bayne for $400 cheaper. That is where I end up going every time on the dinger play. And unless I want to even go more cheaper, which is more cheaper, does that even work? Oh well. Unless I want to even save more money, and that's when I make the play of Landon Cassill at $5,900. Look, if you've been watching the show, we've been a fan of Landon Cassill, and if you're a fan of winning money in GPPs or in cash games, you should be a fan of Landon Cassill too for NASCAR. Now, with all things being equal, I owe you this explanation. He traditionally has been a dumpster fire at this track. It has not been somebody you wanted to own at this track. However, this Landon Cassill seems to be running good, and when he qualifies in these 30 spots, he seems to be moving up really well and getting you that place differential. For example, in the last 10 races, he has failed to get any DFS players negative points, which is huge in NASCAR. He's exceeded the value of his dollar 6 times. He's met value twice, and he went blah twice. But blah is much better than negative points any day of the week, and I would take a 17 or 18 versus the negative 20s that we've seen from other drivers. Look, when he's starting 31st, I think you're good to go. If you want to be a little bit more safe, I think you can go with Ty Dillon for $100 more. But I'm personally on Cassill this week, and I think he'll be the lesser owned of the two, him and Ty Dillon. What are your guys' thoughts? Adrian?
Hashtag level up 38, guys. I love Landon Cassill. Landon, I hope you're watching. I'm a huge fan of yours. Landon Cassill, guys, I mean, he's just at that price every week where we just love to play him, and he never hurts us when we decide to play him. And he's just, I mean, I don't really know much more to say than what Poppa said. I mean, I really enjoyed a tweet that Landon Cassill had yesterday. He tweeted, best car we've unloaded with this year. Q wasn't in the cards for me in turn one on the second run. I mean, that just shows that Landon Cassill still has the confidence in his team, and rightly so. That team has been bringing great race cars to the track, guys. I mean, he led laps at Bristol, and Carl Edwards had to use the bumper to get by the guy. I mean, we still bring that up because it's just so impressive. I mean, this team is not supposed to be running that well, but Landon Cassill continues to go out there every single week and outperform in the equipment that he's given. And honestly, both of the front row motorsports cars are doing that this year. That team has really turned the operation around. You know, Bob Jenkins in that group. I mean, you have Chris Buescher who qualifies 18th. I mean, the kid's qualified out of his mind this season. I mean, I think they have a really good young stable of drivers. And I think front row motorsports, I think things are looking up for them. I mean, you got Landon Cassill, you got the 2014 Xfinity Series champion Chris Buescher on your side. I think the notes that those two drivers can go over. I mean, Landon Cassill hasn't really had a teammate like that. You know, guys that has, you know, been running this well. I mean, you know, he teams, but he's got a guy like Chris Buescher who's a champion in the Xfinity Series. He can bounce notes off of, and they'll actually compare stuff with. I mean, I just love Landon Cassill this week. I mean, when you buy the guys you have to buy to really make your lineup nice. Well, 38, Landon Cassill fits in there, and he completes your lineup high.
Yep. Liehr, your thoughts, bud?
Well, I'll keep it brief and short, boys. But I love Landon Cassill. He's an Iowa kid. I'm an Iowa kid. You always got to root for somebody like that. But, you know, just like Adrian said, I mean, he's been performing very, very well for Front Row Motorsports. And he's just, you know, one of those type of players that at $5,900, you just can't go wrong with putting him in your lineup. I mean, the guy that won the GPP last week for the 250K, I mean, had Landon Cassill on his team. So, I mean, even though he only scored 23 points last week, he started 33rd and finished 27th. Now, granted, that's a different race, but I mean, same position, he's got nowhere really else to go except moving up. And he's got a lot better equipment than the guys that are behind him. So, I'm right there with you. I like Landon Cassill, and I think all our viewers should too.
All right, boys. Now, we have been going really in-depth with a lot of our picks this weekend and going head-to-head. So we'll try to get through this next segment, the Going to the Garage segment, where we talk some trash, possibly on the driver, possibly on the car, could be on the way DraftKings has them priced, or it could be just their track history. But I'll try to remind everybody, let's try to make this brief because we're going a little long today with all the information we had. So, Adrian, start us off. Who do you got going to the garage this week, buddy?
Yeah, I got Tony Stewart, the number 14 this week, guys. Tony has great track history at Pocono. Weekend started, I was really leaning towards Tony Stewart, but the man just qualified too well this weekend, guys. You know, we say going to the garage, and Poppa reiterates every single week. I'm picking Tony Stewart as my going to the garage play because I think there are better options out there. You know, to spend your money wise. At 7,500, starting in the 6th position, Tony's not going to move up. He's not going to finish top 5. He's probably not going to finish top 10. So I mean, you automatically are setting yourself up to get negative points. And you know, like I said, it's just an overqualification. I mean, we talk about these kind of situations every week. This is just that situation. Tony just fits the bill. No potential.
Yeah, pretty easy pick there too. I'm right there with you, man. It's just, I mean, Tony Stewart, this is last year. I'd love to be able to say, hey, you know, pick him a few times to actually put him in as far as winners for tournaments. But this week is not one of those weeks. And unfortunately, you know, good for him and his team, the Stewart Haas team, for qualifying 6th. But, you know, best of luck to him. But it's just one of those where he's just not the same driver, guys. And, you know, ever since the incident took place, it's just hard. You know, I think for him to go full-fledged, especially too, you throw in the injury that he had before the season got started. He's only got 6 races so far underneath his belt this year. And it's just still too early to put him into lineups. Even though he's at a nice cost of $7,500, there's just better options out there. And I think you should definitely stay away from Tony Stewart this week.
Yeah, I'm also off Stewart. I mean, I have right now I'm currently at 100% paid. overqualification. And, dude, I just don't like rostering a guy that is all over the place and that doesn't have his head in the game. And I don't think Tony Stewart has his head in the game, and I haven't ever since the incident. And I have not played him since then, and I believe it's punished me a total of once in like 40 races. So I'm okay with that. Like, Stewart fade. Liehr, who's your guy to go to the garage this week?
All right, fellas.
Here we go.
It's hard for me to have these words come out of my mouth. But the thing is I know that when we talk about these guys, that especially this guy, he's just always somebody that we're going to talk about every week. But this week he's in a different situation. Kevin Harvick in the number 4. I know, like I said, last week he was my burning rubber pick, and this week he's my going to the garage pick. But it's a different situation, boys. Different track, different circumstances. First of all, Harvick has never won here at Pocono in 30 career starts. He only has 52 laps led, with 47 of those laps coming within the last 3 races here. He has 7 top 5s and 11 top 10s. Just like normal each week on DraftKings NASCAR contests, he's the most expensive driver at $10,400. This weekend he starts from the 4th position, but something interesting is that Harvick is averaging 69 points per race this season. So Harvick will have to obviously win the race, lead over at least 50 laps, and have a substantial amount of fastest laps to even eclipse his average, let alone make it worth your while at that 10,400 point to put him into your lineups. But I was a little bit surprised at his ownership percentage last week. It was, pretty semi-low. But this week I completely expect him to be hovering around the 50% mark because he's starting in that top 5 position. Don't get me wrong. I will have a little bit of exposure to Harvick just because he's one of those guys where you have to have at least 1 or 2 lineups with Harvick on it, just for that, just in case if he does break that streak and finally take home a win at Pocono. But I'm just not playing him in a majority of my lineups, just based off of the history, based off of his price. And I'm just having that Rain Man gut feeling, boys, that something crazy is going to happen on Sunday or potentially Monday with him, his crew. Poor pit stop, some crash situation, or some rare incident with the vehicle having issues. But I'm just not on the Kevin Harvick train this week.
Wow. You guys hear that? That's some Rain Man love over there. I think this is a bold, Liehr. I love I love where your head's at. I don't know that I can completely fade. Like, you're right. He doesn't have the best of track histories here. But, dude, as far as DFS goes, he's been a guy that you wanted on your lineup, about 80% of the time. And every time I don't have him on a lineup, I'm just like, oh, God, I hate the fact that I'm trying to fade this. Like, and I sit there, like, all day, like, no. Like, this is a bad play. And I just, man, I respect you for like making the pick. I just, man, I can't fade him completely for sure. And wow, Adrian, your thoughts?
I mean, that's about what I could say is wow. I mean, Harvick, this is like for you NBA DFS players, we've kind of made this relation before. When you open up the DraftKings, create a new lineup with NASCAR, same situation that NBA puts you in. It's like you have Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch, which is just like NBA, Steph Curry or Russell Westbrook. I mean, if you fade one of those 2 guys, I don't think people understand how scary that is. Because these drivers are so good and, just know how to get it done. But, I mean, I see where Jamie's headed, and I like the thought process there. Because for Kevin Harvick to reach his average, which his average is what his scoring or what his pricing is based on, he's going to have to go up there and take the lead from Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. Maybe it remains to be seen, today with the practice sessions on how that 4-car will be running. But, honestly, I was thinking about making Dale Earnhardt Jr. going to the garage just because Jr.'s not going to lead laps, and he qualified so well. I feel like this is one of those situations, although Harvick can go up there and lead laps. But then, like I said, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is not going to go up there and lead laps. But, yeah, I mean, it's a scary, outlandish claim to make. But, I mean, if anybody's going to make those kind of claims, let it be Jamie.
Right. Iko Ine, right? Like,
Yeah, I'll let him take the bullet for that one.
yeah, I have no idea. Like, wow, Liehr.
Well, if you guys remember, I forget which race it was.
Kyle Busch,
Yeah.
Dale Jr. Auto Club.
Oh, dude, the problem with like making that play, in all honesty, is now that I've had a chance to process it, is that if he actually does lead laps and is the Harvick, like, you're drawn dead. Like, right? Like, if he's the Harvick he's supposed to be, you are straight drawing dead by making that fade. But
that's why I said the safety.
If he's the Harvick, he's supposed to be in the top 5 regardless. That's what scares me.
Fair enough.
You got to play at least one or two of them. But, you know, I mean, but yeah, as far as an overall perspective, I'm fading that.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you a much safer fade. I'm going to tell you to not play Chris Buescher at 5,300. And the reason why I'm focusing on this is because with all the sexiness up top, you're going to be looking for value this week. And Buescher is somewhere I don't think you should look. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the front row of motorsports. And like we said earlier, I'm really happy where they're qualifying. And I love Cassill this week. And I have zero problems playing him. But he qualified 31st. Buescher overqualified and is in the upper teens. I don't think you're going to get a good performance out of Buescher. And even if we assume that you give him his average finish position, which is 31st on the season, you're talking about a negative 13 place differential automatically starting off. And we've already talked about how important and the premium is going to be on place differential here because there's only going to be a few cars. And traditionally, they all split the laps led on this track. I just want you guys to not get caught up in the track of playing Buescher this week. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love the speed that team has shown in qualifying. I mean, I think it's a little bit fake on where I think they'll be running, you know, during the race. Like I said, today's practice sessions are going to tell us a lot about how that team is actually running.
Mm-hmm.
But even if Chris goes out there and, you know, he's going to get passed by some drivers because there's just so many good drivers starting behind him. I mean, if you look behind Chris Buescher in the starting lineup, you have guys like Trevor Bayne and Ryan Newman who you know are going to be fighting for a top 15. So obviously they're going to eclipse Chris Buescher. And I just feel like, you know, he's going to probably fall back to around 25th or 26th where he's usually running, which, like I said, is a great run for that team. But it's not going to be a good run for your DraftKings team. Chris Buescher's cost really makes it where you want to play him and you want to be able to force him into your lineups. But just try to spend your money elsewhere, guys. You know, he just, and also, while we're talking about the kind of, I don't know if you guys noticed that Cole Witt and Reed Sorensen switched cars this weekend. Apparently, Reed Sorensen's driving the 98 and Cole Witt's driving the 55 now. It could have been just a glitch that I saw on J-Ski, but it looks to me like Cole Witt and Reed Sorensen switched rides.
Oh, no, they did switch rides, for sure. And the rumor is that team is trying to figure out if both of the cars are actually bad or if they're both drivers are bad. like that's. But in all honesty,
no,
like
that's a legitimate thing that they do. They do that.
Right. And it's the question is can you do that when you're in such subpar equipment? Is my question. And I'm like, how do you really evaluate a driver's talent when he's in a car that's not capable of competing with everybody else? But
right. I'll just make my Buescher comments real quick. Sexy at 5,300, boys, especially carrying that speed in the qualifying. But just to make it quick and easy, it's an easy fade. He's, you know, going to fall back into the field. And it's just one of those where it's just a way over qualification. If he was starting, you know, late 20s, I'd be all over the Buescher play. But unfortunately, not this week.
All right, boys, that wraps up the Going to the Garage segment. Now let's get to the build a lineup phase. Now this is one of the things that we are really proud of here at the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We're the only site that does this. We're putting a lineup. This lineup you can compete against in the 30K lug nut. It's the $5 contest on DraftKings. Remember, DraftKings, if you'd like to sponsor us, we'd be more than happy to take your money while talking about DraftKings. Let's go ahead and start getting this team rolling. Let's see. Liehr scared me with the Harvick fade thing, so I'm gonna let Adrian pick first this week.
Yeah, let's keep it a little safe this week. Let's roll with Ryan Newman at 7,100 to start off.
All right, I like that. We'll show people what it looks like putting some Newman on the team. All right, so we throw a $7,100 driver on. That bumps us up to $8,580 per driver remaining. All right, Liehr, am I going to regret this? Like, who do you want us to play?
I mean, is there any doubt? Just go with my burning rubber guy, Keselowski.
All
Number
right.
2 motor light.
Yep.
Yeah, I have zero problems with that.
Yeah.
The Keselowski play. So we've got Newman and Keselowski started off on this lineup. You know what? I am going to go ahead and you know what? I think if we're going to say Keselowski's going to run good, so is Joey Bag of Donuts. Let's go ahead and show people what it looks like to run both Penske boys up front.
Nice.
So that creates $7,933 remaining with those 3 drivers locked in to start our team off. Adrian, where do we go next, buddy?
You know what? I'm really liking Trevor Baynes at 6,400. So not much in the show, but that team's been qualifying really well lately, and starting in the 24th position. I think this is just one of those weeks where you can play Trevor Baynes and feel pretty confident about it, and he saves you a lot of salary.
Yeah, and dude, I honestly love the Bane play. And guys, sometimes we get into the habit of not talking about Bane because we talk about him so much because the way that he seems to be underpriced and how much he performs. I'm worried that this is a week that we did that on. This is a week where you're really going to want to roster Bane and have him on your lineups. I have him on a lot of mine. He just underqualified for what he and that car have been doing. And I love that play this week. I'm glad you threw him on the lineup. That gives us $8,700 left. Liehr, where are we going next, buddy?
Is that $8,700 per driver?
Oh, yeah, no, per driver, dude. Like, we're not that hard up.
Okay. I'm gonna say if that's the situation, I'm gonna go with Adrian's burner rubber guy. I say we need to put Chase Elliott on there because I really do like his chances this week too. What Adrian talked about earlier in the show, but I think he's going to be a key component to have him on your lineup.
Yeah, and when you do that, it gives you $9,000 left over, which, and this is something I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you threw that on here. And this is the dilemma I've been coming up with a lot. And when you guys get to rewatch this with the screen, with showing me picking the team, the problem here is if you put Elliott on the team, you don't get my pick in Hamlin. Right, and if you pick Hamlin, you can't get Chase. You have to spin down, and it's brutal because it's literally $200 that you're trying to free up, and you can't do it without punting any one of these guys down. And it frustrates me because I see that team, and that team is beautiful. If I can get Hamlin and Elliott there, but I can't do it. So you want us to go Elliott, right, Liehr?
Yeah, I mean, I know probably you boys are maybe saying no. We should go with Kyle Larson.
No, that's it.
Well, I mean, dude.
Chase Elliott's exactly where I wanted to go with that pick, Jamie. But I will say, if we pick Kyle, so I've made one lineup this week, guys, and we're getting dangerously close to it.
All right. Well, and the next pick, yeah. Adrian doesn't want us to give away his lineup, but I'm sure everybody that's watching the video sees it. There are basically a chunk of drivers here that you really could be interested in, and it starts with Larson. But I'm sure Adrian doesn't want you to go that route at all, right? Like, don't play Larson there. No, Austin
well,
Dillon.
I mean, I think that's the way you need to go, but
I know.
I
was trying to be sarcastic. Like, I should have clipped back to your face so I could show them. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and throw him on this lineup just because I think it makes the most sense. Like, to show the viewers. Like, and I'll go ahead and lock that in, and you can see that lineup running in the $5 lug nut.
Sounds great to me, boys. That sounds like a winner.
All right. Well, let's get Liehr out of here. He's got to take the little one to Thomas the train engine. Woo-hoo. All right, man. You have fun at Thomas the Tank Engine, man, and enjoy it. And let's do our goodbyes. Start it off with Liehr so we can get out of here first.
Brad Keselowski, be all over him this week. He's going to be rolling in the number 2 Miller Lite. He's going to be one of those guys that you're definitely going to have to own this week to take down those tournaments. Boys, the lug nuts up to 30K. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better every week. I also want to say thank you to all the viewers out there for watching the show. Hope our information is helping you out. We definitely appreciate all of the likes. The views have been unbelievable. The comments. We love interacting with y'all. Just keep it coming. We do this for the love of the sport, also for the love of fantasy. So thanks for everything, and hope you guys have a fantastic, amazing weekend.
Awesome, dude. And you have fun at Thomas the Tank. Whatever. Adrian, your goodbyes, bud.
Yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. It's incredible to see the amount of support that we've gotten these past few weeks. The views have almost doubled, and then some on our videos from last week to 3 weeks ago. So we love the love that you guys have been giving us, and keep it coming. Like I said, comment on this video to win this Chase Elliott signed rookie hero card. We'll be shipping that out to someone. We'll randomly select a comment from the video, so make sure that you're commenting. I know we saw like 360, 70 people were commenting on the video last week. Let's make sure that all those people are commenting on this video so they can be entered to win this hero card. I'd love to be able to send it to somebody. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Really hope this week. Really excited to get into the action at Pocono this weekend. Should be a fun, exciting race. And I wonder if they're going to have what you think they're going to have sparkling champagne when Chase Elliott wins, or you think they'll just have Gatorade because he's not 21 yet.
Right.
It'll be Welch's sparkling grape juice. And speaking of which, Welch's, you could easily sponsor our show as well and pay us money to talk about how awesome Welch's sparkling grape juice is. See how well I do that? No, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. You guys are the reason why we do this show. Hopefully, we're making you guys money, but hopefully, I'm making more money than you, and hopefully, so are my boys. But as long as we're all making money, it's a good place. And above it, everything else, as long as we're learning fantasy and enjoying NASCAR, that's what we're out here to do. So remember to like, share, favorite, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, boys, and let's get some racing done this week. Peace out.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Go Warriors.
All right, dude.